Like I have a couple of instances where they like I was 5 years old and they like threw me in jail. Half of it comes from coming from a war zone, and the other half was like, well, my parents not knowing how to behave in a war zone. Feel secure. Those babies like naturally sleep better. They're okay with their own room. They're not as afraid of the dark. Well, I feel like everybody just sticks their kids in front of electronics. Some people probably don't have the motherly instinct. So obviously, I'm not going to be the mom that's like letting their kids go to people's houses and wreck all their furniture and be like, oh, little Samara, she's just so precocious. She likes to break the furniture. Like, I'm not going to be that mom, but
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Cosmic Chats. We have the amazing Nishy Acsell.
hi.
She is a comedian and mother in the Los Angeles area. We're going to find out today about how her family fled from Kashmir during the war zone times, how she integrated in America very well, too well, in fact, for her Muslim family to even continue to recognize her when she chose a Christian faith and married a Christian individual, and also how she had a physical life crisis during great income, a wonderful job, that her body got so sick she had to turn it around so she could be who she is today. So we'll get straight to our first warm-up question. All right, how would you describe the taste of a banana to someone who's never eaten one?
Oh, they're missing out. First of all, I'm concerned about their health because that is a lot of potassium. That is a lot of nutrients, my friend. The banana. Oh, I feel like I would just say it's like a sweet, like a very sweet, like smooth, kind of like a nice black man. No, I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm saying. Don't know what I'm saying. We can cut that out.
In fact, I do think there have been many occasions where I've said to people, and that's how you like your men, how you describe the taste of a banana. Pretty much. Let's just move on now. Okay, so when did you have your first existential life crisis as a child?
Oh my gosh. Well, I had my first crisis when I remember this. I was in the crib and my mother would just stare at me like a hawk, like exactly like that. And she would be looking at me and I'm like, I didn't know what was going. I don't know why I remember this, but I would be like, why am I here? Who is this person? Like she wouldn't pick me up. She wouldn't do any of that stuff. And so I thought, at that point, whatever, this is going to give me material for my work later. So it's all good. Keep doing your thing, mom. You're doing a great job.
And how old were you?
I think I had to have been under 5. So I was probably like 4 because this was back in Kashmir, which is what I spent my like little toddler years there.
So you were still in a crib though at 4?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, why was I even there? Why was this furniture decision made? And I'm like trying to be independent and we're just like staring at each other all day. And I think it might have just been like a cheap Pakistani thing to do. Like, let's just put her here. She won't bump her head. She will mess up all her brain cells and cognition of everything around her. Like, why am I here? But she'll be safe.
So do you think before the crib, maybe you were in the drawer?
Maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. I could have been in the drawer. I could have been in the back seat of of their little truck that they had, or the little cabinets. I don't know. It could have been very conveniently placed in their pocket if I was small enough.
And so this was definitely an observational comment on what is happening. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
And from that, will you say that you've kept that approach for most of your life?
Wow. I just had an existential crisis right now when you said that.
Welcome to the British Guru Chat Show.
Oh my gosh, that blew my mind. That is how I am with everything. I'm always like, what just happened? And did that really happen? And is this really happening? And why is this happening?
Ask you something. You have a little one yourself, and are you taking steps, as small as they are, to maybe shift that perception you have, maybe explain what's happening or talk to them more like they're an adult consciousness?
Oh man. Well, luckily she can't talk right now. So there's only so much that I could mess her up, which I'm not planning on doing. So I'm really trying to take steps right now to not do like this little baby. If she even blinks my way, I go to her rescue instantly, because I don't want her to have some weird memory of me not giving her attention and then end up on a meditation show blasting me like my mother did this to me. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like I don't know. It's like a subconscious unspoken language, because she knows me. We knew each other long before. She knew the way I smelled and everything about me before she came out. So it's like, if you get rejected by that person that carried you and all that, like it just sticks with you forever. So yeah. So for her, I don't even, if somebody says her head is shaped weird, you best believe I'm up there in their face. Like, let's look at your skull. I'm going to take my little measuring pencil and mark up your skull and see if it's perfect. Don't talk about my baby's head like that, you know?
How are you coping with other mothers?
Oh man, that quarantine has guarded me from, other mothers. So
Or guarded them safe from you.
Yes.
So definitely there's a feeling of, the perception was, okay, what are we doing here? Hello, no movement. And you are definitely right there for your daughter. Did you have a shift change of how you viewed your mum down the line from that initial, even though that seems to be like a thread that you have of life in general?
Yeah, I did start to kind of appreciate her a little bit more, but then she was always like, stay 6 feet away from me, like long before it was popular. So I just thought about, some people probably don't have the motherly instinct, and that's fine. That's not up to me. And then there's people like me who just like love being a mother, and just, that's like, I want to have like 15 more kids, so like I need a cleaning crew, if you can't tell. Like I need some help around the house. So I want to have tons of kids, but yeah, I've like, for my own mother, I think she was always like a free spirited, like individual type of person, where she just has her own way of whatever she's doing, and you don't bother her, and she doesn't talk to you. And then unless you send her money, then she'll talk to you. But that,
so were you, let's talk about where you were in the family hierarchy. Mic drop. In the family hierarchy, where were you as a girl?
Oh,
first,
bottom of the barrel. Yeah.
So how many?
What were we saying? Sorry.
How many of them are you? How many siblings do you have?
I have 2 older brothers, which is like having another set of parents, because they're 8 and 11 years older than me. So they were teenagers when I was still a kid, running around scraping my knees and stuff, so and then being a girl on top of that, oh my gosh, it was like I had parents all the time, everywhere I go. Like my brother's telling me not to do this brother's saying don't do that, my mom's saying no, my dad's saying no, just all that.
So how old were you when you moved to the States?
I was 6, I believe, 6 or 7.
All right. So they had most of their lives being raised in Kashmir, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that they had, coming over to America, more of a culture clash with traditional, more Kashmir philosophies of the male-female roles?
Oh, yeah, they definitely still don't want to integrate with America. It's been like 30 years now, and they're like, no, my dad still doesn't want a cell phone or technology. He doesn't care for it. And so the culture clash was huge, especially because back then, because they're from a much older generation too. My mom had me when she was 40. Why did I say that? When I was 40, I'm not even. But when she was 40, she had me. So then it was like the generational thing. On top of that, the male dominated thing. And then over there, you don't even see like affection happening in movies. You see like maybe a light hand holding. You don't ever see kissing. That's like forbidden. So they grow up with all these ideas that like everything on the TV is wrong. And so they would only let me watch animated TV shows. So I grew up with The Simpsons taught me a lot, and South Park. And
that's a very interesting choice of cartoons to watch, a satire and, a hanky Christmas poo and a sloth gaining radiation. So you must have had kind of a different slant. One, you didn't perhaps fit in with your own family in America, and then also not fitting in with America.
Yeah, it was pretty weird. It was like I was kind of out of place a lot, but I did make a lot of like friends at school that were into similar interests, like that's what kind of connected us. Like I wasn't like some foreign kid who didn't know English. I picked up English in like 1 month because I was young enough to just be in front of the TV and then learn it, and then boom, it's in my brain. And I'm fluent at it. So they didn't really, I think the weirdest thing was like nobody knew how to say my name, and then there was some words that I pronounced weird or whatever, and so they put me in like speech therapy, and then like, we want you to sound like this, and at the end of every sentence you put your inflection up, to sound cute, and hold this pumpkin spice latte, like just basically gentrify this brown person. And because they have accents, but I never developed it.
California. This is California.
Yes.
So let me just re-clarify this. They did tell you to lift your voice at the end of a sentence?
No, that was a joke.
Okay. So the speech, did you feel emotionally inside that now you can go back and we can imagine ourselves where we were, and we still get the sensations, right? This is where it says, oh, the body gets older, but the mind doesn't, right? Did you feel that something was off, that you were even in this speech class? Did you feel wronged at all?
Not really. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I was like, this is how Americans talk. And now I can say stuff to my parents that they're not going to understand, and I can get away with it, and I won't get in trouble because they don't know what I'm saying.
You definitely feel that you embodied the stereotype of the baby in the family.
Yes.
And which aspect of that have you personified the most?
Currently, the whining and the complaining. So
that's just because you got a new baby and you don't have any sleep.
Yeah, sleep. You stop sleeping the moment you find out you're pregnant. So
how would you like your daughter to feel in the world that's not here currently?
That's not what?
That's not currently common in the consciousness right now.
How do I should probably go back to that English class because I don't understand your question.
I don't think it's a language issue. It's a concept issue, I think. Let me rephrase it. Your daughter, now raising your daughter, what do you feel is missing for new children in the world that you wish that you could help provide that will be there?
Oh, what a well, I feel like everybody just sticks their kids in front of electronics. And then they also there's like this whole thing about um I got to get my stuff done so I don't have time for the baby. Like I got to hand this baby off to someone else. And which I think it's cool. Like people are chasing their dreams and careers and I'm totally fine with that. It's just sometimes I feel like the kids that are raised off of just like staring at the TV screen all the time and they're with someone else or whatever, it's just the bond doesn't like it's not solid enough for later on when you could be like, oh, I always felt like my mom was there or my dad was there. So I just think it's so important, at least for like the first year, just to know that like when that baby's like mama or dada or whatever, like somebody's there and that you can reinforce that and they're gonna feel secure. Those babies like naturally sleep better. They're okay with their own room. They're not as afraid of the dark. Like me, I was afraid of everything as a kid, every single thing you could imagine. I could not even go to the bathroom with like and shut the light off for a second. It had to be open for me to go in there for everything. And then I would be like, oh my God, what's gonna happen next? Like just anxiety all over. And half of it comes from coming from a war zone, and the other half was like, well, my parents not knowing how to behave in a war zone.
Right. Do you feel that you have some PTSD from that?
I don't think so. I don't really remember anything traumatizing about it. I just like I have a couple of instances where they like I was 5 years old and they like threw me in jail and and I didn't know what jail was. I was like, what? Because I violated curfew and all the other kids did too. And we had to be inside when the sirens went off and we were just playing games all the time. Like in our head, we were in our own little world. So after the fact, I realized I was like, oh my gosh, we were in a really dangerous area. And that's why they did that. So I'm not like traumatized by that because they were trying to take care of us. But when I look back at it, I'm like, maybe they could have set up a daycare and not a jail for kids that are running around on the loose.
Now, when you have your memories from that being in a war zone, do you think now you're looking back, that was life? That's what you did, and you were a kid, and you played with the ball that was there, or whatever you had. You still had that childlike approach to it. And now looking back as an adult, apart from let's just have a childcare rather than a jail, does it then start to hit you why there is the anxiety that's in you, or why there was so much fear on a deep level?
Yeah. I mean, I've actually talked to my therapist about this a lot. So it definitely has a lot to do with, they have a completely different way of living and lifestyle and belief system than I do. And they don't match at all. It's just one's Western, one's Eastern. One is like, we couldn't be more different, like I'm even allergic to curry. So like, there's just all these things that my body is like physically rejecting my background. And it didn't really happen until, I don't know, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago where I was like, wow, I literally have capped out my capacity to eat curry. So I'm done and my body's done. And I don't want to speak the language. I can understand it fluently and everything, but just all these things, I was like, you know what? I don't really identify with them anymore.
Did that create any kind of rift with your parents and your siblings or other family members that escaped?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's not that was creating a rift. It was just they don't want to interact with someone who's not Muslim. So they've chosen that way. And my brothers off like they're always talking to me and everything, and we're good friends and all that. And I love them. And my brother's kids and wife and all that, they're all great. But the rest of the family that's like pretty much very extreme into Islam, they like refuse to come to my wedding. They refuse to like do any, association with anyone who is not like strictly Islamic.
And did that hurt you? Hurt your feelings?
Yeah, I mean, it was hurtful. I was like, what does this have to do with anything? Like we're all humans, and if you're just gonna keep rejecting everyone who's different from you, then you're not gonna have very many friends, and it's your world view is gonna be limited to, whatever that is, and that's fine for some people. They want to live that way, but yeah, I was when I heard that they didn't want to come because of the whole like Christian thing, or they're like, no, we can't support anyone who's Christian, and I just thought, okay, well, I don't know what to say about that because I thought they were fun to hang around. I thought they were cool people to be with, but I guess they don't want to hang out with anyone who likes Jesus. So
that was another perception shift where it became really clear that the religious belief was stronger than a human being in front of them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And do you feel any animosity towards religious people, whatever religion, who are very strong in their religion because of that experience?
Not really. I think it's all people's own personal opinions and decisions that guide everything. I really like people say religion is evil and religion is bad and all and whatever. Like I'm like, you know what? It's what you choose to do with it that matters. Like I could be like an extremist Christian and like evangelize to everyone but I just don't believe in that. I feel like me stepping on people's toes like that and making them feel like my way is the right way of thinking, that's not the right way to go. But for them, they're very strong-willed and hard-headed people. So they're like, no, you have to believe this. And I've had friends too that in college, they were like, wait, no, you converted to Christianity. I don't want you talking to me. Like they deleted me off of Facebook. That's how I knew it was officially over, like the friendships, So I think it's just if you want to harbor hatred in your heart and then you want to call it and label it as, well, this person believes a certain thing about whatever, and I disagree with that, then you know what? That is a personal decision. And I can't blame anybody writing the Quran or the Bible or whatever for those decisions.
And raising your, let's say, all the children that will happen. How will you help impart to them, each to their own, really, philosophy?
Oh man, that is loaded. How will I help impart to them their own philosophy? Well, first of all, I don't want to force them into any kind of career choice because that's been done to me so many times. I want to find out what their giftings are. Like when I was a kid, I had a fascination with singing and like being in front of groups of people and like leading people and doing all kinds of fun stuff. And then one day I sang like a Janet Jackson song that had questionable lyrics or whatever. And I didn't know what it meant. And all the little kids were repeating it after me. And we were all the same age. And my mom comes in and she hears it and she's like, what kind of filth are you teaching all these little children? And I'm like, it was Janet Jackson. It wasn't me. It's a catchy song. And so she shut it down. And then I would do other stuff. I would go build stuff and I would go to like the 99-cent store and like buy all the stuff on sale and then sell it for $1 and then buy materials and build stuff. And they're like, you need to like stop because you're scamming these. I'm like, I'm not scamming. I'm just working the system. Like, all these little things that I had that went unrecognized, that I realized as an adult, I was like, wait, these were strengths that I had that were being suppressed. So obviously I'm not going to be the mom that's like letting their kids go to people's houses and wreck all their furniture and be like, oh, little Samara, she's just so precocious. She likes to break the furniture. Like, I'm not going to be that mom. But if she comes to me and she's like, oh, I found these lyrics and these are really cool and I wanted to write this, and I'm not going to discourage her and say, I'm going to ask her questions like, what do you think that means? What do you think this Janet Jackson song means when they say this word? Like, do you think that's good or bad or why? And I think that's where like the partnership comes in, because you build philosophies together. You're not supposed to like shove it down people's throats.
So you would say that from your experiences of being shunned, in spite of people knowing you as a person, and your attributes that you see now, entrepreneurship, right? Business thinking, which weren't acknowledged in the spirit of who you naturally are, that you would hope to embody with your children, who they are, and acknowledging their positive traits and guiding them in the direction of where they naturally, for lack of a better word, thrive, or where the vibration is, right?
Yes.
So Nishi's body decides to drop off. And what would you like to leave or like to see happen in the world before you left it?
Oh, so much. I I want to see, like, I want to leave behind like a really uplifting, positive message that, like I've seen people, and I've seen, like, it could be the smallest little thing. Like, I went through a really rough time in 2016, and it was probably like one of the worst years, probably the worst year of my life. And I had all these, like, this health problem, and it left me like unable to walk for like a while because had to have surgery, and I was healing, and it was so horrific because I was like a runner, and they're like, no, you have this huge scar. You can just walk around a little bit, but like be careful and all. So like while that was happening, I was like, I couldn't laugh. Because I had a C-section, and without a baby, it was like they were removing something. And so I had to like put a pillow if I wanted to laugh or show any other emotion besides sadness. And I was like, this is so wrong. This is like if you're not allowed to laugh, it's literally like torture, because it hurt to laugh. It would cause, like, the thing would like stretch and all. So I don't know, like, it just made me think, like, when I watch those shows that I really like, I really love watching the show called Impractical Jokers. I think they're friggin' geniuses, and they're hilarious, and they crack me up with everything they do. And I just started like to shift my mindset, and I would just watch it. And then I noticed day by day, like, I was like, oh my God, I had a great laugh, and now I feel different, and I have energy, and I can go do stuff. And I would spend a lot of time in prayer and in like reflection, journaling. I would go back to like drawing, like all this stuff would come out. And I'm like, what the world really needs is to be able to freely express themselves, like free expression, and feeling comfortable, and feeling like you are free to fail, and you're free to experience whatever your heart desires. Like, I think I would love to see people do that, because when they get to the level of like, this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to feel, and this is what I want to experience, it's so much more empowering to people around them. Because then I became fun to be around, from like being depressing and annoying, and like, oh, there she goes calling me again, and she's gonna cry about whatever happened, to like, no, now I can uplift someone because I'm feeling fulfilled myself. So I don't know. I just think it's like, that would be such a beautiful sight to see. Like, people are actually doing what they love, and they're not stuck in something just for money or for whatever it is. It's like expression and freedom of thinking.
When you had this almost dark night of the soul, as it were, experience in 2016, and you're talking about practices that are inward, self-reflection, almost my purpose, why am I here? Do you feel that who you are now and the vibrancy that you bring to the world would not be at the same frequency if you had not gone through what you did?
Oh yeah, I needed a wake-up call. I definitely I was a zombie in corporate America. I was oh man, I was so bad. I would wake up some days and it would feel like a pressure is crushing me. And I'm like, do I have to get up? And it felt like literally like if you were to get stuck in quicksand and you're like, I can't get out. And physically I could feel it. And I was carrying around this burden. And then yeah, the job was high paying and whatever it was, but it did not fulfill any part of me. I couldn't wait to leave every single day. And I would like pull pranks on people and like write jokes and like mess around with my time. And then, like all like, I'm like, I don't even deserve this. I'm not even smart enough for this. And so up until that point, I was like, you have that mindset, like nothing bad's going to happen to me. I'm just going to be here. And then it's like, no, actually there's a tumor forming inside of you because of all your stress. And I broke out into hives from that job. And the doctor was like, you're allergic to something. I'm like, what am I allergic to? You're allergic to your workplace. Like you need to get out of there. And I was like, no kidding. Cause I felt like that. And so it took a really tough situation. Like then when I found out I had that, and they had to like perform surgery and all that, then I thought if this wouldn't have happened, I probably would have still been stuck there. And I probably would have developed like a long-term chronic illness or something, from just like suppressing all the stress.
Yes. It's very similar to another chat we have with Holly Logan, and she talks about how the 6-figure income didn't make her happy, and her doctor told her, you need to go on stress leave because you're actually getting sick, and the body is now reflecting back where your spirit is not meeting either your purpose in life. And so for some individuals, it can't be, stiff upper lip, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, that people actually get sick. I'm actually one of those two people as well that had a huge crisis. And we can find it all out in the ebook, Vedic Meditation Stories. It is free if you have Amazon Kindle, or if you get Amazon Prime, you can get it for free. And it has stories from individuals who learned this meditation practice, and none of it's edited on purpose. So we hear their voice. It ranges from a 6-year-old beginning to learn to meditate, someone who basically tried to kill themselves because they were so sad and had shrapnel, and had brain injury, people who went through various levels of trauma or not so much, but mainly underrepresented individuals in the wellness world, and how they're not normal meditation people, not at all, and how doing a practice changed their life. So I would highly recommend, the link will be down there in the description to check it out, and how a regular practice can actually get that stress out. So the body can get the stress out because the body is behind the mind, right? The mind might say, okay, fine, I can do it. And the body, where the soul is put in there, no, it can't. And if we regularly have a practice to get our system from fight or flight to relaxation and restorative, we have more capacity to adapt, but also have that cognition. This is temporary. This is not going to work out long term before we end up having that crisis. And you'll also see in the book and read my own particular story of what happened to me. And I basically had a big crash and burn. My body just, everything came crumbling down, as it were, and deciding to be here after all, but we have to do it a little bit differently for sure. That's a very profound experience that you had, and thank you for sharing that. If you've liked the chat today, please put a comment that you do and appreciate what we're bringing, and share and subscribe if you can to the channel. And we want to thank you so much for being here and part of the Cosmic Chats. And we'll hope to see you all soon, and maybe bring you back for a little bit more about exactly what happened.